Hello, and welcome to Building Your T-Shirt Empire. My name is Cole, and with me, as always, is Gavin. This week, we have a topic that I think pretty much every business owner struggles with to some extent, and that is hiring. Finding the right people and putting them in the right seat is critical, and Gavin has a lot more experience with it than I do. He actually went to school for it. So, Gavin, I'll hand it over to you, and let's get into it.
Thank you, Cole. So yeah, I did. I did go to school. I have a a degree in management information system. But not only that, I've been pretty much building team for the past 20 years, both in my capacity as a shop owner, also work for a major corporation, hiring people, building their team. I read a lot of books on this. Read a lot of books just around just building team, the psychology of working with people. So hopefully what we share here would be able to help a shop owner to hire the right people, build a team, and go to the next level in their business. So Cole, let's start like this. So maybe you could share a story of how maybe a person that you hired that worked out really good, or maybe a person that you hired that was just terrible. You got anything like this?
Yeah, I mean, I have plenty of terrible stories, but the best person that I ever hired was two people. It was Vlad and Dimitri. Vlad was roommates with Dimitri, so he had Dimitri come in about a month after I hired Vlad. I didn't really do anything right, but they were just great people. So because they were reliable, they could finish jobs on time. They didn't lie to me. I didn't have to manage them because if they were at work, they were working. Those kind of hires are like dream hires. And we ended up doing stuff with them for like 10 years straight. And then we're still doing like random projects with them because they started their own print shop. So at the moment, I'm still just like brokering jobs to them because they just do not screw up. And if something goes wrong, they let me know the information. And that's probably the best hire you can expect in this industry.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing right there. Having somebody stick with you for that long is amazing. For me, I think what the benefit I've gotten from hiring people was really the flexibility it gave me. I remember when I started hiring just remote workers, it gave me this ability to just be anywhere at any time. It allowed me to travel freely. I was able to just live with my backpack and my laptop. So doing this right has a lot of benefits to it. Obviously, there's some cons. We'll talk about that too. But hiring people properly and doing it right for your business could be what you're looking for. Let's talk about when is the right time to hire a call. So I think that's something that a lot of folks struggle with. They know that they need to do hire. They know that it's important. I'm not sure with you, like, how did you decide when it was the right time to go into this? Because you started your business together with you and your lady. When did you bring an outside person in?
So during the first year, we did very few sales. It was like under 100K. In year two, though, we did 400 something thousand. And so we were like bursting at the seams. The building couldn't handle the number of boxes. Me and Joni couldn't personally handle it. And we were already outsourcing things. So we brought in Vlad after 2 or 3 people that didn't work out. And they are a failure literally in the first month. So I might hire fast, but I fire really fast.
Nice.
So once we found Vlad, he was like our first good hire, and we were getting the Rock at the same time. So he helped us transition into getting the auto, and then Rock actually trained him on the auto because he didn't have any existing experience. And so for us, we were hiring because we were making so much revenue and couldn't handle the demand. I would say for a normal shop, you would want to not hire anyone at all until $250,000. Yeah. One person can do $250,000 in gross sales. In fact, a good salesperson should do considerably more than that. So if you're not doing $250,000 in sales, don't hire. You need to figure out your own business before that.
Yeah. One thing I would say on this thing is you consider yourself to be your business's first hire because you are literally working for that business. I think a lot of shop owners think of this in a different way where they feel like the business is them. I would challenge that mindset for you to think of yourself as an external part of the business and the business must pay you. So I would start with that. Also, one thing I've learned over the years that has really clarify this and really crystallize this book, Profit First, it talks about this allocation ratio. It gives you the percentage that you should be using when to hire, right? Having something like this really helps you when you're making that decision, so it doesn't feel like you don't have any bearings and you're just making this just from a feeling. So if you haven't read this book, definitely check it out, where it talks about allocation and the percentage and the ratio that you should be using to make hiring decisions. Let's talk a little bit about here, Cole. We talked about why it's important to hire, when is the right time. Let's talk about how to hire. Like, what are you thinking about interview wise? What are you thinking about like structurally? Like, have you had an interview that went pretty bad? Like, how did that work out for you?
Oh yeah, I mean, being in basically downtown LA, we've had insane interviews. We had this one guy who showed up like truly methed out of his mind.
Oh boy.
We also have had like alcoholic problems where people like are stinking at like 10 a.m. and you're like, dude, this is not gonna fly. So I've had plenty of bad ones. But the way that I like to hire is I like to get the resumes in. I normally do something like Indeed. Also, LinkedIn is a good way to do it, but I've found that LinkedIn is a little bit more white collar, and things like Indeed are typically more service level jobs.
Yeah.
So the resumes are good. I basically am just checking to see if they're even, spelled correctly. I don't necessarily need them to have screen printing experience. In fact, sometimes people who say they've screen printed for 20 years are really bad at it. So I'd much rather have a quality person that I need to train instead of somebody who claims to have a skill and they're unreliable. And then what I would do is I skipped the whole phone interview step and I just had people come in person because I really believed in sizing people up in person and like seeing if they were even just, personable and good at communicating. You can tell a lot from a person. When we would hire people because we were desperate for more hands, which happened pretty often, they would basically become like a cancer in the business because your good employees are seeing someone who sucks get paid. And then they feel like they can either start working less or they just resent the guy.
Yeah.
So hire quality people, even if they might cost a little more. In the long run, it's just a healthier situation for the entire culture.
Yeah. Yeah. Quick story about this alcohol thing. While this was not in the interview, but we did while I was working for this company, retail company, we hired this guy. This guy came in, like let's say a few weeks after he got hired. The timing it's been a while back, so this guy came in the morning, 6 o'clock. We're supposed to offload a truck. This guy's drunk out of his mind, maybe coming from a club, right? Terrible situation, like really killed the rest of the day, and it really destroyed the whole morale of the team. Just like one of our core guy came in and just like, so I say that to say those things you gotta look at like early in the interview process, just to make sure you're not hiring the wrong person. Let me talk to you about how to like go deeper into this, how to hire somebody into your business, some of the things that you should be thinking about as a small business owner. One of the resources that I found to be very good at this is this book that's called Traction. It's actually EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System, by Gino Wickman. It really gives you a blueprint to follow. If somebody's out there and they haven't have a way to hire, or they looking to like really streamline their way of hiring, go read that book, take that framework, so that way you could hire better. Let me give you a quick overview on what that could look like for you. First thing you want to do in your business is you want to create what's called an accountability chart. That accountability chart gives you so much more clarity into your business because it creates all the seats that's necessary for you to run your business. Plus, it gives you a way to communicate what different roles are in your business and what they do, right? That's really the first thing that you want to do. And for you as the entrepreneur and the business owner, you do not want to delegate this part of your business. I know delegating is something that you are pushed, hey, delegate more, delegate more, delegate more. This part of your business, in my opinion, the first 5 to 10 people, that's coming into your business is 100% yours. Because if you could do this right, the rest of your business is actually going to work so much smoother. The next thing you want to do when you're hiring the right people is really just creating what is a job description, because you want to be able to communicate to that person when you first meet them what that they're going to be doing. If you're super clear on that, and again, it ties into your accountability chart, but like really just expand on it, that gives you clarity and that gives that person clarity. Now, the interview process, let's give you a quick framework that you could use, like how to interview. When you put a job out, you're going to get these folks that wants to interview with you. And when you get them, ideally you want to go through a couple interviews. One is really a screening interview, and the second one is an actual interview. But when you are having the actual interview, one quick and dirty way that you could find out if the person is the right fit for your business is this thing that they call GWC. Do they get it? Do they want it? And do they have the capacity to do the work, right? First thing is, does that person really just get what your company is about? So that's what your job description is going to be, talking a little bit about your company, your values, what you believe, right? Do they fit into your culture? Like, does that person get it? Does they understand what type of business you're in? Do they want it? Like, is that person showing excitement? Does that person came on time? Did they reply to your emails? Like, all of these are different ways that you could check to see if that person wants it. Did they come into the interview dressed appropriately, not overdressed but not underdressed? Those are signs, because people just know how to show up to an interview, right? And do they have the capacity? Like, if they're going to be screen printing, can they physically push a squeegee? Do they have enough? Do they have arms and legs? Right, that could be it. Or do they have the capacity the mental capacity to do the work? Right. So that's a quick way for you to go through and find the right person. Now, once you find the right person, one thing you should not leave to guess is your onboarding and your training. Your onboarding and your training is what's going to set that person up for success. If you don't do that, you are actually setting up the person up for failure, because that's on you to pretty much go into the future, predict what's going to happen day one, predict what's going to happen week one, month 2 and 3. Give that person an overview of how that could work out. You do that, that person will feel like they're working for a professional organization, and you're going to see that person develop so fast, and they won't be guessing because you created the track for that person, right? So this is what I would subscribe to you to hire the right person.
I would say to add on to that, when you are hiring, make sure that you are hiring for a specific role. And if you're specifically talking about screen printing, it can be done even with part-timers. But in your organizational chart, you want to have very specific tasks assigned to one person only, and don't hire people that are jack of all trades. If somebody knows how to burn a screen and set up a press and clean a screen and make art, that's great, but they need to do nothing but one task. So they're nothing but screen management, so that the screens are always ready at the beginning of every shift. And then the person who's on the press is nothing but on the press, period. The person in receiving is nothing but shipping and receiving. That's it. They're not on the press. And if you have to give people smaller chunks of time because you don't have enough work for everyone to be full-time, that's fine. But make sure people have tasks that they're completely responsible for. What I see often is people's first hire will be another person that's kind of like them. And then the person is like, oh, I need to clean the screen so that I can run the job in 2 hours. So then they're not running any jobs at all because now all of a sudden they're overdoing screens. Mm-hmm. Then they say artwork's wrong, so I emailed the customer. And then they waste 45 minutes going back and forth on an artwork fix while no screens are being cleaned and nothing is on the press. And that's the normal experience of like a one-man shop. The one-man shop normally has the bad decision to just clone themselves when they shouldn't be cloning themselves. What they should be doing is having their screens 100% managed by one person, and they're always perfect. Then have your printing done 100% by one person, and it's always perfect. You need to have those roles even when you're a small shop so that your life doesn't just turn into a whole bunch of people running around each other and not working together.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree on that. Specialize in your business. Don't generalize. That is a way to keep your operation running smooth. The business, your people are happy. Now you've found this person, you've hired them. Now let's talk a little bit about what do you do to keep that person, and also what do you do to like build on top of that. A lot of time, what people usually coin this as culture or your company culture. Let's talk a little bit about that. So Cole, earlier you said you had somebody that worked with you for 10 years, nearly a decade, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to like honestly know what is it about that person? What is it about you that made that person want to work with you for that long? Because that's actually not a thing that happens often now. Most people they work in a job for a couple of years and they quit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's about reliability and it's about like respect. So if you're freaking out on your employees, or if you're paying them late, or if you're doing what you're supposed to do in the business to allow them to succeed, then they don't want you as a boss and they don't trust
Mm-hmm.
you. If they think that working at another place is going to be worse than working for you, then you're in a good position. And I think for Vlad and Dimitri, they just felt like they always knew that they got paid no matter what. They always knew that like jobs were coming through the door, and they could like rely on me. They weren't afraid of like getting a new apartment. They weren't afraid of buying a car. Like he bought a Tesla. Like the kid bought a Tesla because he totally believed that we were going to continue paying him reliably. And so you can be a really crap boss, and you have to remember what it's like to work for bad bosses, and make sure that you're positioning the entire business to be stable enough for everyone to believe in it. And in the beginning, when you're a small business, it may seem overwhelming to make $250,000 or 400,000 or whatever, but that's what you need to have a real business. I mean, you can
Mm-hmm.
do the hustle grind crap where you're like, I made 10K in a month, but 10K in a month is garbage. Like, you cannot live on 10K in a month, because 10K in a month, when you're only netting maybe 40% of it, now you've only made four grand. And
Mm-hmm.
then you're like, okay, so we've made 4 grand. That doesn't even pay yourself a decent salary. So you're not even going to make $50,000 a year salary with your business, and you're
Yeah.
calling it a business. It's not. You don't have any revenue to justify staff. You don't really even have enough revenue to justify your own salary. And
Yeah.
so you have to think high level with the numbers and account for that. And your employees expect things that they would get in a normal job. Like they expect insurance, they expect days off. You can't just pretend that everyone's going to be worked to the bone at all times and then get paid crappy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. So for this part, we talked about how to build like really a sustainable team. And I think what you just said there pretty much it gives you all the ingredients that you need to build a sustainable team. One thing I heard from Cole was reliability, respect, confidence, right? So to me, these are core values that a business is built upon. They are almost intangible because you can't see it and feel it, but these are really the pillars that the business is built upon. And that is really how you build a sustainable team is have core values that you abide by, that your employees abide by, and that they know. That gives them the confidence. Now, what you want to do in your case is really make that visible and operationalize that. Once you decide what your core values are, let's say you want to grow really fast, then that's the type of business you want to have a super competitive environment. Make that known to your people. That's the type of business that we have. If you want reliability, that's your core value. And you, as the owner, you stress that. You first deliver it, you stress it, you repeat it, you make sure you hire against that. You make sure if somebody goes against the grain on that, you bring them back or you let them go. That is really how you build a team that is sustainable and you have what people tend to call culture. Like, oh, sometimes, well, we all vibe well together. That is the vibe. The vibe is those things that you cannot disrespect. Love that.
One thing that I would, and we didn't make a section for this, but one thing that I want to talk about is firing and also hiring people that you know. I have had situations where like I hired my cousin and that actually worked out really well. I also at one point hired a friend from college. That was a disaster. So mixing those relationships can work, but you have to make sure that they're going to be a good business partner and not like a good drinking buddy. It's a very different thing to like somebody and get along than it is to rely on them for your finances. So I'd be extremely careful with that. Also, do not be afraid to fire people. The only reason you started a business is to make money for yourself. That's the core reason why you start a business. You can have a bunch of other motivations and you can want the business to be, equitable and charitable. But when it comes down to it, you have to pay your bills and the bills of the business because the business is profitable. So do not be afraid of firing bad fits. You'll honestly know like a week, 2 weeks in that somebody's doing stuff that's weird. And it's better for you to get them out of there than it is for them to be there for 18 months and everyone hated them being there.
Yeah. And I would have to say, honestly, in my career, that's been probably one of the biggest mistakes I've made. Is really when it comes to hiring, is really not firing fast enough. Because like you almost want to protect them more than they want to protect themselves.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody shows you like they're not about what you are about in a business world and you've already made that clear and you provided the person the resources, pull the trigger, fire that person, honestly. Like this is something that I've been doing more and more lately. And you have to get better at doing it in a kind way. Because I was more on, let's be kind, let's take care of that person. But honestly, I was being mean to the other folks that was really taking care of the business. Because if you're not firing fast enough. So that's I would say, a mistake into this. Also, another mistake going into this is not taking this as like putting the work behind this. It's like winging this. You really have to operationalize this. Take a weekend, build out your organizational chart, build out your job description, see a podcast or listen to how to do an interview, read those books that we talk about. So that way you go into this with a lot of tools in your toolbox. And when you're starting to apply this, it's there. So that way you're not wasting 5-10 years. And then that's when you finally figure it out. Right.
Yep. I mean, I think anyone can do a good job with hiring. And to get you started, we created a free checklist. It's literally just a link to a Google Drive folder. So completely free, no sign up, nothing like that. That'll get you started. It also just has kind of some summaries from this podcast and some basic information and links. Besides that, we're heading to Printing United this next week. So we hope to see you guys there. You'll definitely be seeing me because I'm going to be like on the show floor the entire time. And then Gavin will be wandering around too. So if you see us, come say hi. And thanks so much for listening, everyone. Bye.